China. 1,350 million people. That's a lot of people. Chinese people. Yet one man stands alone. One man is on a mission to wander this land, see the sights, and meet those people. And after 12 months learning their language, to be one of the first to do stand-up comedy in Chinese. This man's name is Des. Des Bishop is breaking China.
Here's a big difference in my new life. On a windy day in Beijing, you're like, oh, thank you, wind, because it clears away the pollution. You can breathe, it feels amazing. And even better, when the pollution clears away in Beijing, it reveals quite a pretty city. In fact, when Beijing gets its clothes off, it's quite an ancient, sexy thing.
I'm now over 9 months into my time in China, and a huge break has happened that's forced me to really get focused on doing stand-up comedy. Joe Wang, who's quite a famous comedian here, has asked me to open up for him in Chinese in a huge venue he's doing in Shanghai. So now it's time to take what I've learned about China and try to turn it into stand-up comedy. Joe Wang, he's a Chinese guy who actually got famous in America doing comedy in English. Lived in America for 19 years. He ended up on the David Letterman show, the Ellen show, but for Chinese people, most excitingly, he's come back to China. He's already super famous because all those videos went viral and the Chinese are really proud of him. So now he's doing his first ever big performance gig, stand-up comedy gig in Chinese. He's only been doing comedy in Chinese for a year, and it's in Shanghai, 800-seater venue, and he's asked me to open up for him. Which is daunting because I thought that my end game, I thought that this mission to do comedy in Chinese would be, I would develop the material and then I'd put on a gig myself. But this to me is greater than my goal because it's 800 Chinese people. They're not my friends. It's people that are there to be entertained. So I have to produce. This is my first paid gig in Chinese. And I'm freaking nervous. They're not coming to see some foreigner who's only been learning Chinese for a year. They're coming to watch a foreigner who's gonna make them laugh. I don't think I'll be getting a hell of a lot of leeway. In China, to do stand-up comedy, you can't just translate your English material into Chinese and learn it off by heart. And that's not just because they don't know what the immersion is in China. So much of what we find funny in the West doesn't work here. So with 4 weeks to go, if I'm gonna have any chance of making them laugh, I'm gonna check out some venues and look at the various types of comedy performance styles that has them laughing. This is Rentuan, which is famous in the Northeast, and it seems to be on the low end of the comedy spectrum.
It's like comedy in a Baptist church. It's just a guy singing. And a lot of men looking at him. It's like bad entertainment for soldiers in Vietnam or something. It's mostly men. It's amazing. It's amazing. Obviously, I couldn't understand the jokes, so I can't be overly critical, but a lot of drinking beer, which is not very entertaining, but an incredible spectacle, you know, the audience is just mad rough, people talking, these guys on the phone eating fucking seeds. It was wild. It was wild. It made me think that maybe comedy is not considered a high art here.
我也想宣布独立，我握着笔，但是父母亲不肯坚定，说我这项条约还没到期，在电视里，或许我是。
Ever since I first arrived in China, I've been curious to know what the Chinese even really know about stand-up comedy.
对不起，你会说英语吗？会。Oh, hi. Do you know what stand-up comedy is?
No.
Do you know what stand-up comedy is?
What is comedy?
You've never seen stand-up comedy before?
No, not really.
Comedy. Do you know?
I don't know.
Can you tell me your favorite joke?
What do I say? Chinese joke.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Chinese people not being familiar with stand-up is only one of my problems. If I have any chance of making them laugh, I really need to improve my pronunciation. So, with just a couple of weeks to go to the gig in Shanghai, I have been training hard with some extra classes with Iris. She is like Mickey, and I am like Rocky, getting my tongue into shape for the main event.
44十是十。
四是词. I wish we had a camera that we could put inside my mouth to see what the fuck is going on in there, because it's not easy, I can tell you that right.
你慢点，慢点。
字是四，十是十。
对。
是四是词。哎呀 fuck. It's not that I'm not enjoying it, like I think it's great. It's kind of like doing a crossword all the time, you know, like trying to figure it all out. But it does make me think that the task of doing the comedy gig might be a little bit of an overreach. And that's before we even get into thinking about what these people are going to find funny. It's just literally not being sure I'm going to be able to speak well enough to get near doing that.
Imagine if Punch and Judy knew Kung Fu. Then you would have this, Chinese shadow puppetry. It's a very traditional form of entertainment here, and it makes them laugh, from the oldest to the newest.
It's cool, man. It's very violent. It's two guys on horses chopping the shit out of each other. Chinese entertainment. 不好意思，我的能力不够，我是老外，从爱尔兰来，这是我的表演。好像你，好像你。It was actually kind of like the first time I've made Chinese people laugh, like an audience laugh, by accident, actually. They were an easy crowd, actually. I'd be looking forward to a tough crowd. That was a bit of an easy crowd. But I do think that when you're a foreigner, you get away with murder here. 谢谢大家，谢谢。It was fun. It was fun. 我开玩笑，我开玩笑。And then when I was out in front of the crowd, I almost got overconfident because I almost was about to like try, like I had an urge to try stand-up, but I didn't do it because a lot of kids there. In a way, that's the beginning of my Chinese performance, kind of, sort of. We're moving on from puppets.
Something like stand-up has literally just begun to emerge in China. It's called Tokoxiu, which directly translates from talk show in English. But they are definitely better at copying Western brand names than Western humor.
So this is Chinese Tokoxiu. This is some sort of strange mix of cultures that are happening here. So when Chinese comedians do their performance on TV, they have all these sound effects and they keep putting up like characters on the screen like it's a this cartoon like this guy's doing comedy, but it sounds like we're playing a video game. You know, it's funny, sometimes when you're doing comedy in the West, they always say, like, you need to be a bit more subtle. I mean, this is the opposite of subtle. Not only do they make very obvious jokes, but just in case you didn't get it, they show you the pictures and the funny characters. Hey. It's great. Even the crowd, they even give the crowd their own subtitles. But somehow this has become Tokoxiu to Chinese people, so for the gig in Shanghai, they need to know my punchlines because they need to know when to add sound effects. That's why doing Tokoxiu in China is definitely not an exact science.
But there is a small number of true fans of Western-style stand-up. They call themselves Beitou Tokoxiu. They are trying to develop live stand-up here in Beijing. I've been checking out their gigs, and one thing's for sure, they are very keen.
大家好，我叫石老板。
好。
大家好，我叫 Tony Chow， 我是那个电视记者，然后呢也是一个脱口秀喜剧演员。
This is Beito Talk Show with Beijing Stand-Up Comedy Club, so to speak.
脱口秀演员讲究3个白：独白、对白和旁白。我长得帅吗？帅，真他妈不要脸。
It's very lonely when everyone laughs and you haven't got a clue while they're laughing, but that's my life now.
要不然我干不过刚才那个人。
Yeah, so it's my first ever Chinese language gig. It's my first gig in Chinese. To be honest, I didn't even really prepare. I'm just gonna like say what I can say. Let's see what happens. 肯定在黑龙江以前没有那个老外做迎宾员，所以很多人进来的时候，他们看到我说老外奇怪，然后他们每天问我你是俄罗斯人吗？
I mean, for me personally, it was like, I'll always remember that room because it turned out to be that moment, like the moment that it happens, the moment that you do something for the first time. And for a first time, it was absolutely fine. 这是我的第一次做中文的脱口秀，所以可能你觉得不太好，但是我非常满意。谢谢大家，谢谢。But really, when you ask anyone about comedy in China, the first thing they always mention is xianxiang, or crosstalk, and I need to check it out before the big gig. It's China's most popular form of live comedy, and one of the most famous performers is a fellow foreigner. Rona made me Dashan, whose real name is Mark Rosewell, and he's kind of like the most famous foreigner in China. Years ago, he was like the first foreigner to get on TV doing xianxiang.
现在呢，不会说汉语的外国人，那才叫老外呢。
Xianxiang is China's most well-known form of comedy. It's like two-handed comedy, kind of Abbott and Costello.
特别高兴的呀，还来了几位外国的友人对，表示热烈的欢迎。相声演员大山老师，热烈欢迎，谢谢。今天能够亲临现场，十分的荣幸。
介绍的盖人，
你好，
给你们介绍一下，
你好，
爱尔兰同行。
你好。
但是在爱尔兰不叫相声，叫脱口秀。
你好。
他是爱尔兰 #1。
我是
爱尔兰倒数第1名，小型。
我是上天爷老师，我是下地祖来报。
Is it cool for them to like deal with like completely contemporary, like the news stories of the week? No, I don't mean like anything dodgy. I just mean like funny news stories of the week.
对，就他就想问，就是你们新相声里头，就是谈论就是我们现在老百姓当前就是生活中的事儿，新事情或者时事。
对，
可以，
都会有，
对，但是有的时候也不让说。
当然说了是政治上面的，包括一些敏感话题。对。
People say like, comedy is all about finding the line and then trying to push it. But the problem in comedy is, where is the line and how far you can push it? And I say, that's the great thing about doing comedy in China. You don't need to worry about where the line is because the government tell you exactly where it is. They tell you straight away. There are 3 T's, Tiananmen, Taiwan, Tibet. You can't mention them. Even in telling people what the 3 T's are, you just fucked up there, buddy. The Beito guys have quickly adopted me into their stand-up comedy family and have asked me to do a set at a free college gig they are doing. I guess it's like a dress rehearsal before I go to Shanghai. This is by far the biggest show that I've done since I've met these guys. It's the biggest show. The music is not great. It's like the beginning of my stand-up comedy career. You actually begin to learn a skill and you can see how exciting it might be and how troublesome it might be. So many people told me that doing stand-up in Chinese wasn't going to be possible. And, you know, through dealing with Beito, I got involved with people who were the exact opposite. You know, they were just like, not only is it possible, but
it's going to be possible much earlier than you thought. You know, like we're just going to make this happen.
但是我觉得现在你们结婚的爱不一样。还有这个是中国政府的爱。可能有的人不知道，如果他们可以大家说哦，可能我不可以大家。
The stuff I'm saying is not that funny. It's just that I'm a foreigner. It's the equivalent of like, hi, Des. I'm a crazy guy. Yeah. I'm like, I speak silly, but really I'll make you laugh. Please, just stay with me a minute. I'll make you laugh. Yeah, I funny talk. Like really, it is that bad. You know, that's what it is, and that's what they're laughing at.
谢谢大家，我是毕汉生，我是在你手间，在，谢谢，再见。It was a night that made you feel like this is the beginning of something special, not just here in Beijing, but that actually maybe stand-up comedy has a future in China. And it's an interesting, for us, it's an interesting future because this is literally the beginning of it. And that is not an exaggeration.
That's it. I'm off to Shanghai. 24 million people, and with only 11 months worth of Chinese, I'm hoping I can make 800 of them laugh. The pressure's on to perform. It's showtime, baby. They say the neon lights are bright on Broadway. Well, then Shanghai seems a good place to take to the stage.
Yeah, Shanghai, it's incredible. It's just like in-your-face commercialism. Like not many places in the world, to be honest. It certainly shows that there's a hell of a lot of money in China. A lot of money. I guess if Beijing is the capital of Chinese culture, then Shanghai is the capital of Chinese showing off. There's no way you could see China as a communist country when you're in this place. It's incredible. In fact, I think Shanghai is where communism and capitalism get together and have dirty secret sex in a 5-star hotel with a TV and a bath so they can watch Chinese propaganda while they suck each other's dicks. I like Shanghai. It's dirty and tacky and brash.
But 不是这样，就是大笑是大笑，没有那个正式的。好的，再见。哎呦。The people that are running this Shanghai gig are driving me absolutely mental. They call me like every 15 minutes with another question about my material. They made me write it all out in Chinese, by the way, which is great because it was a good exercise, but it takes me like 3 hours. And then I send them all the, all the jokes, and then they're like, we don't know where the punchline is. And I'm like, I don't know what the fucking punchline is either. But the point is that people laugh, This is the big difference between small gigs and when it becomes like an official venue, and that's what they keep telling me. 这个表演比较正式. This is formal. But formal in Chinese directly translates as not as good.
Yeah, so I'm backstage here at the ET Space Theater in Shanghai. And now it's finally showtime. I don't have a lot of jokes, and they've not let me do about half of them, to the point that I hardly have enough material to do here. There's like some government people and some like CEOs of companies, and they're coming. Like they just worry about that, so they just want to put out this image of like this clean-cut comedy with all this like music and that Irish part of you that hates authority. You have to keep it in, man. It's tough to keep it in. I don't have the cultural training to just be like, bite my lip.
There's a lot of pressure. But to be honest, really the pressure is just that my whole purpose for being in China is kind of about this.
Let's do it.
I feel like everything I've come to understand about China will have no validity unless I can validate myself on a stage tonight. That's what it's all about.
1 minute.
When your entire year's work is riding on a gig, the pressure gets high. So we'll see We'll see.
Ladies and gentlemen, 各位现场的观众，大家晚上好。
I always thought that I was going to have to gather up an audience of Chinese people who would have pity on me and listen to my bad Chinese. And now here I am, the opening act in a proper show.
来自爱尔兰的脱口秀达人毕汉生，掌声有请。
哎，谢谢大家，谢谢大家，谢谢。非常好，非常好。欢迎你们来看我们的脱口秀演出，你们好吗？好。非常好。So 我是爱尔兰的脱口秀演员，我的中文名字是毕汉生。还有我们开始的时候，我问你们，我说欢迎你们来看我们的脱口秀的演出，你们好吗？然后中国的观众他们总是说好，但是我现在学中文10个半月了，就是我在中国为了做脱口秀，我现在学中文10个半月了。但是我在中国10个半月，我总是问我的朋友们你好吗？他们总是说还行。
Never performed on a big stage in China. Like, I've never walked out in the suit and said, I am a professional. I've never walked out with people expecting to be entertained. You know, I've always walked out with a kind of like, hey, I'm this guy that's just started learning Chinese. Whereas this case, it's like, well, if you're not going to make me laugh, you can go back to the classroom and put somebody out there that'll make you laugh.
我是38，还没结婚。可能今天晚上，因为我38岁还没结婚，但是我在爱尔兰的时候，38还没结婚，没问题，因为我们没有那个压力。但是在这儿，所有的人说38岁还没结婚，因为你很帅，你为什么还没结婚？他们不说这个，就是我自己加的。
800 people, they've all bought tickets for actually more money than I charge for in Dublin for people to see me. This is a highly, highly professional gig.
现在我妈妈在上海，她今天晚上不在，但是她在上海，所以我们明天2个人去人民公园找老婆。谢谢。
Well, you might as well be speaking Chinese. I said that all my life when I didn't understand something. But it's taken more than just learning Chinese to understand what will make Chinese people laugh.
但是我每天我是精兵院，所以我每天看中国人买单。我觉得中国人买单的时候非常幽默的事情，所以我现在想给你们一个买单的表演，但是我需要一个观众的人帮我。先生，你可以帮我？谢谢。小心慢点啊，谢谢，非常好。你叫什么名字？我叫吴宇飞。你叫吴宇飞，非常好，你非常好看。你去那个花钱，我付钱，好的。付钱。也付钱。那我来。好了，我来，下次我请你。有的时候就是那个小气的，我买单，我来，好，你来，好，谢谢，掌声，好，我走了，谢谢你们，非常好的，再见，谢谢。还可以，那是我的那个。
Yeah, that was crazy, man. Like, I couldn't believe it. I actually, to be honest, I can't believe I got that kind of a laugh in Chinese. Like, that's all I wanted. So that's my first big performance in China. It was a short one, but it was very satisfying. The experience of learning how to do stand-up in Chinese has been great in terms of it's the goal, but for me, it's only the beginning, you know? I can't go back to Ireland yet. This isn't the beginning of the end, it's the end of the beginning. So I'm not going back to Ireland full time. Like, I'm gonna spend another year trying to get better Chinese, and I actually think I could do well here.
So I was invited to be on the Chinese version of Take Me Out. Yes.
They were like, do a performance. You have to do a performance. I thought I owe it to the folks back home to do something a bit Irish.
Well, I come out, your black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wives how you won medals down in Flanders, and how the IRA made you run like hell away from